thing is about quilts is that you don't know about quilts or about a specific quilt or about quilt making or even about the quilt makers themselves until you look at the back of a quilt. Because at the back you start to see certain things that show you what goes into that quilt. For example, the stitches. Not only the stitches, but the number of the stitches, how many of them, and also the pattern that they make. Because quilting is really using the thread to keep together the different layers of the quilt. There are 3 layers of a quilt. There's the top layer, which is the surface, the front, the inner layer that provides the warmth, and then there's the backing, which is the 3rd layer, and you have to keep all 3 of those layers together, and you do that, you keep all that together with stitches. And that stitching process is called quilting, even though the finished product is a quilt. The pattern and the way that the quilter decides to use that common thread all the way across the back is in itself its own art form, its own fingerprint. My name is Claude Johnson. I'm the founder and executive director of the Black Fives Foundation. Way back when I started this quest to bring to life the pre-NBA history of African Americans in basketball, the epic, forgotten era of basketball, I did that in a way that at the time was very popular, and it was by attempting to create throwback jerseys.
Call it the ultimate in sports style. Old school jerseys or throwbacks paying tribute to the teams and players who made history. Now one company is taking the trend even further with jerseys paying tribute to black basketball pioneers. Here's BET's Andre Schoel.
Now where I go, they wear bikinis in the winter too now.
Whether on TV or on the streets, throwback jerseys seem to be everywhere.
On Fifth Ave, shopping sprees, and them dinners to
And vintage sports line Black Fives is cashing in on the craze with its historically accurate clothing collection of all black basketball teams that played in the days before the NBA was integrated.
Basketball was invented in 1891, but black folks didn't start playing really until 1904.
For the company's owner, throwback jerseys are more than a fashion statement. They're a way to capture important moments in sports history.
We came into our own. African Americans became African Americans during this Black Fives era. And even to this day, folks who bought them say they were the best ones on the market. The way that they were finished, the embellishment, the care and the detail that went into the design and the logos themselves, and then the way we applied those logos. And so one day I was in Pittsburgh at the Heinz History Center downtown, and there was a quilt exhibition that my friend Sam Black had put together. Sam is the curator of African American history at the History Center. I learned for the first time about African American quilt making, and so at some point after I saw this exhibition in Pittsburgh, it hit me, why can't there be a quilt that has jerseys? My inventory of basketball jerseys somehow fabricated into artwork on a quilt. And why can't it be an African American style quilt that's telling this history somehow? At the time, I learned about this enclave in Alabama called Gee's Bend. And years went by where I just kept this idea, kind of in my head. Finally, during the summer of 2020, I decided to really pursue this idea, pursue how to get in touch with the ladies of Gee's Bend in Alabama, which is really, if you don't know by now, the cradle of African American quilt making. And I think everybody that I had mentioned it previously probably thought it was kind of crazy, and I was almost embarrassed to even, tell people about it. But I was thinking like, yeah, this is such a great idea, right? I don't know how I did it, but I was eventually put in touch with Mary Ann Pettway, who I call the matriarch of the Pettway family. The Pettways have been in Gee's Bend for generations. So fast forward from there, the quilt was finally completed, and I had decided a while ago that I was going to pick it up in person. I'm pulling up to the Gee's Bend Quilters Collective, and this has been a long journey to get here, but also an even longer journey symbolically to get here from all those years ago of having these extra jerseys, and now they've been put together in a special way. Let me go in, and I think there's some Pettway family members in there to greet and say hello. So let's go. We're here. All right, we're here.
Hi.
How are you, Mary Ann?
I'm doing good. And how
Good,
yourself?
good to see you. Good,
You
good. No, like the actual hug. Let's go. Hey. How are you? How are you?
I'm doing just fine.
Let's go.
All right then.
Woo. Nice to see you.
That's my sister Julia.
Well, I don't think we've ever met.
No, we haven't.
Nice to meet you in person. Yeah.
I heard a lot about you.
Oh, I hope it was good.
All good.
It was good stuff. It's a special occasion because I don't know, it seems like before the pandemic, we started talking about this quilt with jerseys and extra inventory. And yeah, so here we are. So I've only seen photos of this quilt, okay?
Yep.
And the photos themselves are just stunning and amazing.
All right. Ready for the
Yeah, let me see. Wow.
Yes.
Okay, so wow, I'm getting goosebumps.
Me too.
The reason why is because I saw this on a camera, but when I look
Turn
at
the
it
light
like
on?
from this, now it's three-dimensional. All these logos,
And the tags.
and the tags, and how beautifully you put these on here. What's crazy about this is each one of these has their own story. Those stories go back more than 100 years.
I didn't even know all of this.
Yeah, see? It's a special moment. It's a special moment. It is.
But when I first got ready to put this quilt together, I just started putting some blocks together, right? But Claude, when I got ready to quit this quilt, I asked God, I said, God, please give me what I need to quit this quilt. Next thing I know, I was just quilting around every letter and number on this quilt that my needle went through.
Wow.
And that's why I told you my finger had started getting sore,
Let me
but
see
I
your
never
finger.
stopped. I never stopped. I never stopped. I told you, I just learned how to move my finger out the way time enough to keep me from pricking it and making it bleed. See, all I had to do, this finger up on the bottom, this is the one that gets most of the needle. So I put it on the bottom, and when I feel this needle touch my finger, I move my finger out the way, then I stick needle down in, and this is what they call it rocking it. When I can do more than one stitch, and I pull it through. Then when I get to a seam that feel like my needle not gonna go through, then I would do it like that. I'll push the needle down. Then I'll find the back next to that. Then I pull it back up. And I just keep going down and pulling it back up. It was a gift from God. Because I can't give nobody else the credit but God, because He the one who allowed me to have what I needed to quilt this quilt. And I still was able to quilt just like I usually quilt. I call this waving in the water quilting. Even around the pieces, when I got to them, I said, no, I'm going to make it look just like when I was going through these, coming to these. I said, I'm going to make it look like this line is going straight on through this cap, but it's not.
Right.
And when you see these curves, I wasn't trying to put these curves in, they just happen. And as they happen, I just follow the curve. And everybody said, did you measure it? I said, all of them about an inch apart. But I don't never measure. It's a gift from God. I don't know no other way to explain it, Claude. Another thing too, I didn't know what to name this quilt. I was thinking about the Black 5. I said, no, they already got their name. And so when I was thinking about another name, I said, Sabrina, y'all got to help me find a name for this quilt. It's got to be a very special name.
Nice.
She said, I got it. A Black History masterpiece.
Yes.
And there it is.
Yes.
I said, oh my God, Sabrina, that worked perfectly for that quilt.
I appreciate the story of how you named this because I was texting you the other day and asking like if these are sort of like your babies.
Yep.
You know.
Give all of them a
Right.
name.
And so they all have a name, and so. But what I want to know is what's the common thread? You know, like what goes into your quilts? A lot of love goes in, but
Definitely a lot of love, patience.
like what's a signature maybe, something that you like to do with your quilts?
Most of my quilts, when I do them, I always try to put at least a little slit or something in it, like this right here, you know, and there's another piece on here I got right here where the hand at, right here.
Oh, like a little sliver.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Those triangles.
Yes.
I saw anything I do, I always try to put a triangle in it, like that. That's one right here.
Yes.
It's small. I think this is the smaller one on here, I believe, and that's one. So this is the very first quilt I ever made with all these jersey shirts. This was my first piece. So when I got this black, I said, let me sew this black around here. That'll stabilize it.
I remember at the very beginning, we were having some discussions because this fabric is quite thick.
Yeah.
And what do you call this stitch that comes, like, is it?
I call it wave in the water stitching.
But in quilt making, what's that called? Like, is that just
A running stitch.
a running stitch
Yeah,
that goes
running
all the way
stitch.
through?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, because in order to put the 3 layers together, you got to quilt all the way through it to get all 3 layers. And some people say, oh, I want you to teach me how to quilt. Teaching people how to quilt is not an easy task. You practically got to sit there and learn your way of doing it.
Yes.
And once you get your way, because see, when Mama taught us how to quilt, we was quilting toward us.
Mama.
But see, when I started quilting, I started doing this, I said, know what? I said, I'm gonna quilt another way. I want to quilt so it can look like a waves of water. But I would try to make it straight, but as you can see, I didn't make it straight. So as I was quilting and unrolling this quilt, this is what I came up with.
So you saying that some people quilt with just straight line all the way through?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it was going straight like
this
that.
way or whatever. Okay. So, because you know what this reminds me of? A couple of things. First, you got triangles in here. That's the triangle offense. That's an important part of basketball for basketball aficionados.
I didn't know that.
And then this is, you know, going with the flow.
Oh, wow.
Like, to me, that feels like you said earlier, the flow of divine guidance, right? It's like you sometimes don't know, you know, where to go with something, but that's okay. Just follow, just follow the flow of your
and that's what I did.
Of your guidance.
When it go curve, I just follow the curve.
What's the third layer? So the first layer is the front. Second layer is the back.
No, the second layer be the batting inside.
The inside.
Yeah.
Okay. The
yeah,
batting.
the batting. See, there's the top, the batting, then the backing.
Okay, so the batting is like, I think, what keeps you warm in a
Yes.
way, right?
Mm-hmm,
Okay.
mm-hmm, exactly.
Got you.
But when we were growing up, see, sometimes they didn't have the cotton. They used old other quilts or clothes and put it inside
wherever
the
they
quilt.
could.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because see, we didn't have no quilt. I mean, no bed. So we had to lay on the floor. So they made quilts to put on the floor and quilts for us to cover up under.
So for me personally, this is closure because it's taking something that was, you know, you could arguably be worthless.
Yeah.
Right. Just like quilts, all quilts, it's remnants in the traditional sense. It's remnants that the people, you know, that they threw away, right? And we, being the most creative culture on earth,
thank God.
Find ways to create something from nothing all the time, like all the time. The theme of a quilt, right, is you're taking all these things that are different and putting them together. And then they're uneven. So to me, it's like life, right? Like in life, you have like these different parts, different kinds of people, and like they're not all even, And some of them are against the grain.
Yep, that's true.
But because it's against the grain, it makes the whole quilt stronger.
Yep.
The same thing with history, is we have all these different parts of history, and if you look at it too close, all you see is this. But if you go back, you see the overall picture.
And thank you, Claude, for asking me to do this, because this what happened now. When Claude asked me about doing this quilt, he said, Miss Pettway, I have a t-shirt quilt. I said, I don't like to do t-shirt quilts. And I said, well, Claude, I tell you what, just send me 2 shirts and let me get the feel of the fabric. Here he's sending me 2 boxes of shirts. I said, oh my God, what am I doing with these shirts? You know, God answered prayer. And so when he gave me what I needed, I know it took a while before I did finally got into it, because I told him, I said, well, Claude, I got other commission ahead of yours. But when you sent me this box, I kept looking at it, I kept looking at it. I said, oh God, when am I gonna do these shirts? So when I went to the hospital in June of last year, and you came and visited in July, and after that visit, that's when I started on these shirts. I said, no, I'm gonna just pick out some shirts. I'm gonna just start cutting. And so once I started piecing on this quilt, it stayed laying on the floor on that fabric for a long time. Everybody came in, they were telling me, oh, that's a beautiful quilt. And I didn't realize how beautiful this quilt was until I had my cataract surgery in January of this year.
Yeah.
When I
By
had
the
the
way,
cataract
your eyes
surgery.
look beautiful.
Thank you. When I had my cataract surgery on the left and the right eye, when I came back and saw that, I was, oh my God, no wonder these people say how beautiful this quilt is. You know, I mean, God was just revealing all this stuff to me to put into this quilt. And that's how this quilt got to be born like it's born. It was God revealed it to me to put it. I didn't know I had all this stuff in me until I put this quilt together.
So look, keep rolling for a second. I'm gonna go get something. I have something
Okay.
for you. Okay,
All right.
hold on a second.
Okay.
Okay, I got a gift for you.
Oh, well, thank you.
You can open it.
Oh, look at this.
It's a scarf. It's a Black Fives pennant scarf. It's silk and cotton. And there's only one. It's one of a kind, just like you.
Oh my God.
Just like this quilt.
One of a kind, exactly.
Hey, hey, let's go.
Oh my goodness gracious.
And it looks great.
Oh, thank you.
Now, of course, it's too warm to wear it right now.
Yep,
But
yeah, when I have on my red dress. Mm-hmm. Thank you, thank you,
thank you. This is Claude Johnson with the Black Fives Foundation saying, wow. I mean, we're here. This is sort of like a dream come true. It's a lot of work that went into it. And I'm just glad, I'm overjoyed to see it. And it is gonna be in good hands, okay?
Yeah, I believe it is. And made
Mary.
by one and only Mary Ann Pettway.
Thank you, Mary Ann.
You're
Thank
welcome,
you so
Claude.
much.
Thank you for trusting me enough to do this.
Oh man, come on. That's a given. That's a given.
And I got another one to do for you too.
Oh wow. So we're just gonna have stories on stories on stories.
Oh yeah.
Okay, to follow up. But for now, from Gee's Bend in Boykin, Alabama, Claude Johnson signing out. Thank you. Make history now.
Exactly.
Hey.
Oh my goodness. Wonderful. Just wonderful.
I feel it's a blessing just to have encountered and met the Pettways, the Smiths, learned about quilting, quilt makers, and as you can see, and what you saw when I was in Gee's Bend, you know, is the incredible storytelling potential that this quilt, all quilts, but that this quilt has and will have. My whole objective was to take this history and embed it in something that's even deeper, whose roots go even further into Black culture. But yet, because now all of a sudden quilts are popular, to make it relevant, what better way than to take this quilt, which is a metaphor in and of itself for how the sport of basketball evolved in different pieces, different places, but with a common thread, right? And isn't that how our country is? Isn't our country also the idea of what's on the surface, but then what's inside, and then what's on the back underneath all of that? What brings all that together? What was the common thread, the one-of-a-kind nature of quilts on the front and the back that held it all down, that held it all together? So that's our way of expressing Make History Now, our slogan. I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit more about this history. You know, our mission at the Black Fives Foundation is to research, preserve, showcase, teach, and honor the pre-NBA history of African Americans in basketball. So what better way than to use this beautiful quilt to represent the history, but also to use it as a teaching vehicle, as a way for us to get this story out there, whether it's on display, whether it's through other materials that we can use to promote and showcase the stories that are embedded, that are quilted into this beautiful work of art. This is Claude Johnson. I'm the founder and executive director of the Black Fives Foundation. Thank you very much.